I've actively shot this episode at least 3 days in a row, and each day I've deleted it. And I don't know why this episode brings me so much anxiety. Maybe because of the big production, the microphone, the camera, something that's out of my element. Because usually when I'm recording, it's just me, a wireless mic, and iPad. But I said I'm gonna be present. I'm gonna show up for what I'm doing, and I'm gonna be real. Welcome to Adulting is Real, another episode where I'm here alone and I'm just clearing my mind. This episode is um this episode is important, but it may offend some people. It may honestly not offend some people. It may resonate with some people. I don't know how it's gonna go, but this is me just showing up and being real. I strongly believe that I have a toxic relationship with God, and I say that with the most humbling, realistic way I can put it. I turned 30 and my life somewhat became different. I started longing for new things. I started trying to do new things. And in that process, I realized that I don't have a very strong relationship with God. And being married to a young lady who is very strong in her faith, grew up in the church and knows her Bible back to front, I found myself saying, why can't I do the same things? But in that journey, I realized that I know God, but I don't have a relationship with Him. And for that, I spent the last, I'm 34, 34. I spent the last 4 years trying to build something. And in that term, I don't know what it was supposed to look like, but I just know that in my head, I'm not getting anywhere. Um, I grew up in a household where God was spoken about. I grew up in a family where God was spoken about, but in the long term, um, your relationship with God was your was your responsibility. You know, my mother used to take us to church, but it was always on some punishment type shit. Like somebody did something wrong, y'all all going to church. And if you know how a spiritual Baptist church operates, you know that sometimes it can feel like punishment because being in a church for 12 hours just does not make any sense, which has also kind of like spoiled my relationship with churches. Well, one of the reasons why I don't really deal with church at all. Um, but as of lately, I found myself wanting to build a better relationship and be real, and especially because I'm on this journey of starting a business, have a family, and a lot of the time, physical physical people don't have the answers that you need. So you go to a higher power. But I feel like I'm not getting what I need. I'm not getting answers. I feel like I'm being silenced. I feel like I'm being shut out. And I know I walk around and I've posted this and I've said this on multiple podcasts where I'm just like, I'm trying to figure out how to pray. I'm trying to figure out how to speak to Him, trying to release the things that are on my mind and on my heart and that I need guidance on. And in that process, I feel like I'm not getting many answers. And I feel like the last time I did get an answer was my acceptance to school, because I was at a crossroad, and I didn't know exactly where I wanted to go and where I wanted to be in life and what I wanted to do. And in a world full of no's, I prayed and I took the chance and I applied and I got in. And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, well, schools don't really deny much people, but you got to understand, in a place where I was getting no, 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 and then speaking to a higher power and getting a yes, it felt like, okay, something's changing here, something's happening. We are, you hear me, right? And that was the start of saying, okay, so maybe I should open the doors to this a little bit more. Maybe I should exercise this thing and see where it goes. And I remember just sitting down and I before that, I remember reading my before that in 2024, my aunt, is it 24 23 23 or 20, 24 24 20 20 24 because my daughter's 2. Yeah. um no, it's 23. Either way, neither here nor there. My aunt passed away, and I was on the verge of spiraling. And for some strange reason, something put an episode of The Breakfast Club in front of me where the 85 South Show team was there, and I listened to Chico Bean, and he was just like, in a time where his family was going down a very dark place, and he was about to spiral out. He read a book called Conversations with God, and I was like, you know what? Let me read the same thing and see where it takes me. And obviously, honestly, that book opened my yearning to have to build a relationship with God even more, because it put it in a perspective where it wasn't just like a higher power situation. It was just like we kind of put a huge expectation, and we've been fed this big image of who God is, and it's really not that. And in that process, I kind of gained a better understanding, a better vision of who God really is. But in that process, I also was just like, hmm, I don't know how to speak to God. I don't know how to have this conversation. And I live in a household where my wife is teaching my daughter how to pray. They pray every night, and I listen to the way she speaks. And then, I also endure a couple of I've 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 I'm not like I said, I have my own reserves about church, but I've attended church on YouTube. Don't judge me. And I found myself really taking a liking to Pastor Mike McClure Jr. I hope I'm not butchering his name, but and I'm listening to him, and a lot of the things that he says resonate with me, and you know that opens the door for me wanting to have a better relationship with God altogether, right? But then I also have come into newborn Christians who have somehow, some way found their own existence into the church and into God, and it makes me feel like I won't be accepted because I. They always say that you can't serve two gods, right? And I'm honestly not trying to serve two gods, but I also feel like the place that I am in now, where I know where I want to do, what I want to do, and where I want to be, I don't kind of want to just shy from it because I have built this this yearning to be with God. So a lot of the people who are Christians and push Christian content just be on some, oh well, you got to give up your ways of the world, and I don't understand what the ways of the world are. I just understand that God gave me a talent, and God gave me uh 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 um and He gave me a vision for what I want to do. But then people are saying that if you want to do this vision or you want to succeed at this thing, then you have to give it up and give your life completely to God. And I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be. But then who am I, the person who doesn't really have a relationship with God, to actually question what I'm supposed to do? You understand what I'm saying? It's very confusing. And that's what makes it hard to do. So I've been on this journey of trying to figure it out, trying to figure myself out, trying to figure out this relationship. And in that process, I feel like I haven't reached anywhere. It's been 4 years. I still don't know if the way I speak to God is correct. I didn't even know that at one point in time that I can have an argument and have a fallout with him, because that's what I did. And the crazy thing is, why I feel like my relationship is toxic is because the one time that I did crash out and just ask a serious question like, what did I do? Why are you not speaking to me? Why are you not, like, I feel like I'm not being heard. I feel like I'm a side chick who's being annoying and who's making these phone calls, and you're just like, yo, send it to voicemail. I got other things to handle right now. I feel like I'm being ignored. And I really had a whole breakdown in the middle of speaking, and I feel like that got through, but then I feel like I'm being ignored again, to the point where, I just be like, neither here nor there. And in the reality situation is, I've tried to find specific times, specific places to sit down and be real and have a conversation. But once again, the way I speak to me just does not feel like I'm doing it the right way. And I think that's what makes me not want to do it. So in the process, I'm just annoyed, stressed. I feel like I'm longing for something that may never happen, which makes it difficult to keep doing and keep showing up for. Um, I've tried so many things. I've tried so many things. I've tried so many ways. I think I realize as well that a lot of the reason why I may not be getting answered is because I'm trying to be other people when it comes to the situation. So in the beginning of the month, I've always seen people talking about fasting, and I've always seen people say, "Oh, I fast in order to get closer to God." So I'm just like, "All right, cool. I'm a fast," but I didn't give up food or anything. I gave up social media because I feel like that's my biggest distraction. In a world of 24 hours, I can catch myself doom scrolling for at least 3 4 hours without knowing and lifting my head up and realizing that time flew by and all this extra stuff. And I feel like that was the time where I can actually find myself doing something more. Now, the rules to the fast was I'm not allowed to be on social media. I'm not allowed to scroll on anything. But anybody who knows me knows that this is where I'm trying to head. I'm looking to create a career in media. So of course I have to do the podcast. I have to make the clips. I have to do this, that, the third. So the rules were I'm not allowed to indulge in social media, meaning scroll and check stories, but I am allowed to just upload and sign off. And any uploads that were being done wasn't on my phone. It was via my computer, and I signed off. And I started on February 1st, and I know nothing was gonna happen. I was just like, all right, cool. February 1st, February 2nd, February 3rd, February 4th. By February 4th, it became really difficult. I'm not even gonna lie to you because I'm 3 days, 4 days, no social media, and I'm not gonna lie. I needed to find another way to occupy my time, but I started creating, and in creation, a lot of people say, it's not about the outcome and everything, but I was looking for an outcome because at the end of the day, you always want to make sure that your work is actually doing what it's supposed to do. So I got caught up. I'm not gonna lie, and I was just like, damn. I'm going to get punished because I actually didn't see this through. Like, and I'm not gonna lie, I did turn to ChatGPT because honestly, I don't having these conversations with my wife. Honestly, makes me a little bit more confused because she knows what she's doing. She explains it in ways that I might understand, but it also just confuses my spirit a little bit more. And you know, I'm already confused. So to open up a door to be even more confused is just kind of hurtful. So um, by day 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I'm just like, okay, I had one slip up, I had two slip ups, but I'm still here. I'm still trying to do this. I still want to hear you. I want you to show me what I'm doing is the right thing. And it's radio silence. And I got frustrated. I got annoyed because I'm just like, why? Why me? Why aren't you talking to me? Why aren't you telling me what I'm doing is right? Am I not getting clarity in anything that I want to do? Like what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? What am I doing wrong? You understand? And this is not anger towards God. This is anger towards myself because I feel like I can't figure it out. Why can't I open the door properly? Why can't I? What do I need to do in order to get what I need, to get what I want? Because I'm walking this path. I'm trying to walk this path. I'm trying to understand you. I'm trying to have a relationship, and yet and still, I'm getting nothing. It's frustrating. It's so frustrating. But it's not like a frustration towards him. It's a frustration towards myself because I can't figure it out. And it just, it annoys me. It annoys me so badly. And it's then because I just don't know. I don't know. And in these situations, I go to people and I speak to them and I ask them questions. And Coach B, I had a dream a while back in Trinidad or whatever, and I called Coach P in urgency, like, yo, this is what the dream was, and blah 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 blah. And he was just like, yo, you first before that, when I was doing Vlogmas, I had a whole mental breakdown. I had a whole like depressive episode because I was just like, I'm trying to figure out what's next after I graduate. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going. I just know that where I don't want to be. And I've spoken to God multiple times and just saying, just show me the way. Show me what I'm supposed to be doing. Show me, just give me a clue of where I should be at or what I should be looking for. And I got nothing. And I had a whole breakdown. And I went to Coach B and he was just like, yo, you gotta chill, bro. You gotta chill. He's also just like, you keep tap dancing, and this goes back to what I was saying before. You keep tap dancing between this life of where you want to be and where you was, and you can't. And the issue is you're not fully trusting in the process. You're not truly trusting in God that He has your best bet and your bet and all this stuff. And I'm just like, I hear what you're saying, but the thing is, if I keep reaching out and saying, hey, I need your help and I'm not getting anything, how am I supposed to trust in this situation? How am I supposed to have faith that everything that I'm doing is the right thing and that my family will be okay at the end? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, making sure that my family is good. I don't want to feel like I am doing something and I am not doing the right thing and that I wasted all this time to and put my family in a position where we are hurting and we're not completely it's just right. I went through that. That was before Christmas, and I considered it. I went to Trinidad. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna enjoy my vacation, and I'm gonna keep it pushing. And then I went to Trinidad, and my wife's aunt is a pastor, and I was like, okay, cool. But you know what I love about her is the fact that she doesn't push, um, she doesn't push like super push God on you. She doesn't do a lot. She allows you to be who you are in her home. But I did know that eventually I was gonna have to go to church, and I've already told you guys I kind of have a crazy relationship with church. So neither here nor there. The first night we went was cool. It wasn't long. She said what she had to say, and it resonated, and it hit wherever it hit. And I was like, cool. We weren't going to go to church for New Year's, and just so happened that we did end up going to church for New Year's, and what she preached hit home. And the crazy thing about it was, before that, I was talking to my wife saying, like, I really would like to sit down and talk to your aunt because of the way she is and the way she preaches. I feel like she can tell me not what I'm doing wrong, but just kind of coach me in the way to go and how I feel about God, and just like show me a way of understanding, and understanding that maybe the silence that I'm getting isn't me being ignored, but more so just uh I'm looking in the wrong direction, or maybe I am being spoken to or directed towards things and I'm not paying attention to it. And I really want to sit down with her, but then I get in my head and I'll be like, she's probably gonna be like, but she just spoke on New Year's, and she was just saying, like, she went to school with no plan, with no money. She didn't know how she was going to pay for it, but she had faith of a mustard seed, and she prayed, and she knew that God was going to see her way, and that's all you need is all it takes is a little bit of faith in God, and things can go the right way. And I'm like, it's crazy to hear that now, especially where I'm at in my life, and I'm begging for this relationship and for this understanding, for him to show me a way, and this is what's being preached tonight. Especially because she was sick, she didn't have much of a voice, she couldn't lead most of the ministry, and then this is the message that is projected, and in a time where I'm needed. And I told her, like, the next day, like, I heard what you said, it resonated with me. I'm going home with some kind of thinking to do. And then I get home, and I'm trying and I'm trying, and I'm still getting nothing. You understand? It's frustrating. It is frustrating, but I've also been told, like, you're looking in the wrong places. Maybe you are being led somewhere, maybe you are getting the answers that you need, but you keep listening, you just keep looking for a physical response, and that's not the way it works. And sometimes you got to also understand that silence is an answer. Sometimes the answers that you're looking for doesn't come right away. It comes when you need it. I've also recently had a dream where somebody I didn't even really like. I can't exactly put a name to the face, but the person's message came across very um, clear. It just said, "Yo, stop asking people for spiritual advice. Stop asking people um, how to do things. Stop asking people how to build a better relationship with God. Just do it." And I'm just like, how? How do you just do something you've never done before? How do you do something you don't? There's no books that says this. Well, there is a book, but I don't. That's another conversation for another day. How do you do? How? How do you pull back that band-aid? How do you open that wound? How do you say, listen, I am yearning to understand you. I want this relationship. I just really want to further understand what to do. I need guidance. I need understanding. I need your help. But you get nothing. And after about how long do you proceed to be like, yo, hey, I'm here. How you doing? I'm waving. I'm just, before you give up. And I'm not talking about giving up on God. I'm not talking about not believing. I'm just talking about my faith is dwindling, bro. It's dwindling. It's dwindling because I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm getting. I don't know how to do this. I just don't know. I just know that I feel like I need it and I'm not getting it. And I've had so many thoughts about having pastors because we know two pastors that there's our aunt in which I can call. I can set up something and we can have this difficult conversation. But I don't know if I want to have this difficult conversation on the podcast. I feel like that's something that I need for my spirit and for my soul to further progress. And then maybe one day we can sit down and have this conversation. And then there's the guy who actually married us, who I feel like he's another person who, him being a young pastor, he definitely spits things in a way that I understand that touches me. The one or two times that we actually did go to church and attended his ministry, he spoke things that were heavy on my heart at the time, and I was just like, I can deal with that. But once again, I also have a very, very rocky relationship with churches, and yeah, it's not the building, it's the people in the building that scare me. So, when we went to Trinidad, we walked in church and I was like, all right, cool, I can do this. I went to get a seat in the back and my wife was like, no, 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 no. Auntie's going to make you sit in the front, so you might as well get used to it. And the whole time I was just like, it gave me anxiety in a way. I don't know why. It just, I don't know. I don't know. But it feels good to get that off my spirit. It feels good to actually get this episode done because, like I said, I've done it so many times, and I felt like the panic attack that came my way, I was just like, people are not going to be happy about this. People are not going to sit and listen to an episode about me struggling to have a religious relationship. But the reality of the situation is I just had to get it off my spirit. And for those that listen and have advice, I open the dialogue, and for those that can help me, I'm open to it too, because like I said, the need and the want for that relationship is just, it's like a boy who needs his father. That's what I want to compare it to. It's the boy who needs his father, the boy who needs his parent. It's just the longing for something. And that's it. Thank you for listening. It's been a decent episode. This is Adulting is Real. Shout out to my co-host, my wife, the love of my life. I appreciate you always. So when you tell me to pray at night out loud, the reason why I don't do is because you make it sound fire. In a world of prayer, my wife is the Jay-Z and Biggie of prayer. And me, I'm one of these mumble rappers. I just don't know what to do. And when I doing it by myself, I can just speak internally. Saying it out loud makes me second guess everything that I'm saying. So if she listens to this and she hears it, she understands why I am the way I am when she says, just pray. Especially because my mother's always said, the way of prayer doesn't necessarily mean you have to verbally say things out loud. You can say it in your heart and just hope that God hears it. And I've been, my heart's been confused for a very long time lately. So maybe that's another reason why I'm not getting what I need to get. The wonders of this whole situation is very very confusing. And like I said, I'm open to comments. I'm open to everything. Don't forget, you can find us on all platforms. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, um, Amazon. We're on YouTube, and we're gonna get some guests in here eventually. I'm getting fancy. I got a whole mic stand and cameras and everything. We're gonna get guests in here. I'm not. It's not gonna always be single episodes, but this has been Adulting is Real, the podcast where we figure it out. Whether that's adulting, spirituality, God, entrepreneurship, just the blueprint to becoming an adult, and hopefully somebody can say something that will resonate for the next generation who's trying to figure it out as well. Thank you guys for listening. It's been a good one. I'll see you on the next episode.